So, it's again that time, as we are back with yet another typing top 10. Last time we dealt with poison types, and for the most part, you guys seem to be down with my decisions. Though, I will make an admittance that I slipped just a little of Toxapex not making it on. This week, I've got full hope that we'll all be happy with this one, as we've got the rock typing. This list was put together with tons of stuff taken into account, with a little extra focus put onto the competitive side of things. I feel that these rock types we have here today represent some of the best of the typing, and I really hope you guys see that. Alright. Let us go ahead first into the stealth rocks and see if we can figure out just what the best of this typing is. Also throughout this video, I want you guys to think about what you wish to see as the next typing we do a top 10 for. So, let's get things started with the literal amalgamation of rocks, Univa's Gigoloth. So with Gigoloth, you probably think of one thing in particular, Trick Room. It's right to think that way, of course, as Gigoloth excels most when used on a team that runs Trick Room. Gigoloth has an absolutely bonkers 135 base attack and 130 base defense combo that turns it into a real physical juggernaut. But something has to be done to mitigate that porous speed. That's where Trick Room comes into play, making the base 25 speed of Gigoloth suddenly into like base 200, as it's bound to outspeed everything it's up against now. However, you don't necessarily need to merely rely on Trick Room to get Gigoloth to do everything it can for you in battle. Instead, it is very possible that you can brute force its usefulness by taking hits using that fantastic bulk, and slamming back with powerful moves like Rock Slide and Earthquake. You've got a few options when it comes to moves of Gigoloth, depending on the type of team you're running. Sure, when you're going with Trick Room, you can turn to those moves just mentioned like Earthquake and Rock Slide. If you're going about without Trick Room though, you can turn to some other options that go beyond just the usage of power moves, and you can turn to things like Toxic, Stealth Rocks, and Heavy Slam. You can really choose to do things either way, but really, Gigoloth is a proven Pokemon that slides right into the start of this top 10. It's rock solid, and gives a great foundation for the rest of this one. So, a big thing you'll notice with a lot of rock types is that they tend to be slow, and that's pretty understandable considering so many of them are actually just a bunch of rocks. This next one is no different, as we've got yet another slow rock type that is also incredibly defensive, the beloved Ryperio. Now, not only is Ryperio incredibly physically defensive, but it's also just ridiculously strong with that base 140 attack. I don't want to just talk about Ryperio though, as I feel it's also worth it to bring up Rhydon in this conversation, as defensively, it's also incredibly good. If you send out a Rhydon with max defense and holding an Eviolite, it'll end up having 558 defense, which is just incredible, and thus it would be able to take physical hits even better than Ryperio does. It'll hit almost as hard too. So really, you wouldn't go wrong choosing to use either of these Pokemon. They both have access to the same abilities in Rockhead, Lightning Rod, and Reckless. I'd like to say Lightning Rod is a bit useless since they've got the ground typing, though in double battles, alongside a water type partner, it can be pretty useful. Reckless is an ability that doesn't really bring much to the table for these Pokemon, but Rockhead definitely can be taken advantage of when you're going for certain moves to avoid that loss of health. The offensive ability of both Rhydon and Ryperio is pretty fantastic, especially with a spammable move like Earthquake being stabbed for both, and that's hitting obnoxiously hard. Not to mention they also have Kirishima physical defense, so that's pretty cool too. Ryperio and Rhydon deserve to share this spot together, as they're just awesome representatives of the rock typing. Alright, so let's continue with fossil Pokemon here, and bring in one that calls the region of Hoenn its home. Unfortunately, I'm not talking about Armaldo, but instead, I'm going in on Credilie here. This grass rock type is known to be a real annoyance in battle, with 107 base special defense and 97 base defense with 86 base HP, meaning it's got a bit of bulk. It's almost always a supporter when used competitively, and it does a pretty solid job in that role. It'll often turn to moves like Recover or Giga Drain to get health back, and then rely on a hazard move like Stealth Rock and some status moves like Confuse, Ran, Toxic to start whittling down opponents. Storm Drain is a fantastic ability too, as it enables Credilie to switch in on water type moves. All in all, that's actually all Credilie really does, but it serves its role so particularly well, and makes great usage of its unique typing that there really isn't much else to say. Hey, how about at number 7, we do another fossil? I know you guys are going to be really happy when seeing this one, as it's time to bow down and praise Lord Helix with Amistar checking in. Amistar is straight up trying to go out there and work hard for you in battle like any good Lord and Savior would. Its big talking point is the access it has to Shell Smash, which will give it a big boost to its special attack and speed, which is pretty nice, considering it already has base 115 special attack. Now the downside to that is it lowers defenses, and you don't want to see that base 125 defense get lowered. Thankfully for Amistar, you've got access to an item called the White Herb, which will fix those lowered stats. I've spoken a bit about how much I like the fossils from the first gen before, and I think it's worth it to note that they are among the best. Really, this guy has some things that you can argue work against it, and yeah, if it didn't, it would be a lot higher. Its bulk isn't tremendous, and having to build up its speed frees up a turn to get blown back. But still, when used correctly, Lord Helix will dominate a battle. Tarantum is a really good Pokemon when placed in an appropriate situation, and I think it really epitomizes the rock typing a bit beyond just being a pile of them, like Gigoloth. See, Tarantum is able to take advantage of the ability Rockhead and the move Head Smash, which work in tandem to give it an absolutely nuclear bomb sort of move. Head Smash has got base 150 power that is of course boosted by Stab to 225 base power. And thanks to the ability Rockhead, Tarantum will not be taking any damage from using Head Smash. Now of course, you'll need to overcome the base 71 speed, which isn't phenomenal, but with base 121 attack and base 119 defense, you'll be able to hit hard and take some physical hits. Your other option when using Tarantum is of course to run a bunch of biting moves like Crunch and the Fang moves. It has Strong Jaw as an ability, and there's always a chance to roll with 2 Fang moves alongside Dragon Dance and something like Outrage or Stone Edge. You've got plenty of options, and while the typing might not be the best in the world, it's still at least unique and interesting. Like I said, I feel that the potential behind Tarantum outshines the other Pokemon in the first half of this list, and really most fossil Pokemon. Hopefully you guys can see where I'm coming from here. Alright, time to start the top half of this top 10, and we're gonna get ourselves a legendary Pokemon in here, seeing as we've gone this far without one. How about we talk about a member of the Swords of Justice, Terracyon. That's right, we've got one of the fastest rock types we're gonna be talking about today, right here for your viewing pleasure. Its speed is at base 108, and backing them up is a great base 129 attack. Something that a few of its counterparts prior on this list lacked was any sort of special bulk. And in regards to this fella, we've got base 90 in both defenses, meaning there is some true bulk here. It runs with the ability Justified, that boosts its attack stat if hit with a dark type move, which under a lot of circumstances, you may not get to take advantage of in battle, but it's still an ability with potential. The moves we've got to use for Terracyon include some very strong stab options, like Close Combat and Stone Edge, as well as a couple of other nice moves, like the always standard Earthquake and Poison Jab for those fairy types. Terracyon has had a long history floating around on competitive teams, where it can be either used as a strong setup for Stealth Rocks or Swords Dance Pokemon that puts its attack stat sky high so it can tear through tons of different Pokemon with its varied options of moves. Basically, Terracyon kind of speaks for itself. It's a very strong Pokemon with an interesting typing to say the least. It's got a ton of weaknesses, but a ton of resistances. It's a crapshoot how things go when you go with Terracyon, depending on what you choose to run in it. But regardless of that, it is in the top tier of rock types for sure. Well, I can say one thing. This is the final fossil Pokemon on this list. Now that I've said that, you guys can probably guess, I'm talking about Kanto's Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl is the true master of fossils, and its fantastic Mega Evolution is a big part of why. While Aerodactyl is hands down the fastest rock type we're talking about today, sitting at base 130 speed before Mega Evolving, and a staggering base 150 after. It backs up that game-changing speed with base 105 attack and 130 as a Mega. Basically, Aerodactyl has a great shot at outspeeding almost anything as a Mega, and then hitting hard. Or possibly, it can be used very well as support, being reliable to set up some Stealth Rocks. As a Mega, it has some pretty decent defenses at base 95 special and 85 physical, which help put up with the weakness to electric, rock, and water. We've got to talk abilities, as Aerodactyl on its own has 3 of them, those being Pressure, Rockhead, and its hidden ability, Unnerve, as you've heard about it already a few times in this video, so I won't get too deep into it. The other 2 aren't too horrible in some circumstances, but they don't stack up as well. I'd say the best ability a version of Aerodactyl gets is Tough Claws, which it gets as a Mega. Tough Claws powers up moves that make direct contact by 30%, so most of the really good moves that Aerodactyl can go for will do some strong damage. It gets access to moves like Earthquake, Stone Edge, and Rock Slide, which won't see a boost from the ability, but plenty of other moves like the Elemental Fangs, Iron Head, and Pursuit will. Really, the stats on Aerodactyl, along with its ability and move pool, make it useful in way more than just one or two ways, as you have plenty of options that turn this thing into either a major piece of support or a massive attacker, possibly even a mix of both. It would have been nice to put it even higher on this list, really, but unfortunately, as you're about to see, it was up against some really stiff competition. So, we now reach the top 3, and for this one, we've got to head back to Kalos and talk about none other than Carbink. I mean, oh, wait a minute, scratch that, never mind. Diancie, Diancie, my bad. Now before I get into how good Diancie is, I would just like to point out its one major flaw. As some of you probably guess, its typing is what provides a big problem, as being a fairy and rock type leaves it dangerously vulnerable to steel type moves, and when it mega evolves, a great amount of its defenses are converted to offensive stats. So Megadiancy can be at the mercy of strong steel types, and a well-placed bullet punch from a strong Pokemon has a real possibility of one-hitting it. Though, that aside, its defenses as a non-mega evolved Pokemon are great, with 150 in each, and even then, it still has 100 base in both attacks, so it'll be capable of hitting hard. Some of the great moves it has include Diamond Storm, Power Gem, Moonblast, and Stone Edge. And since Diancie is very capable on both defensive ends, the opportunities to run a mixed attacker, or just do one or the other, are plentiful. It's got Magic Bounce as a Mega too, which serves as a great repellent for entry hazards, and Clear Body in its normal form prevents stat drops. Diancie just offers a great option of either being a wall or a massive attacker, and while it suffers a major blow from steel types that I feel limits it, I can't deny its greatness as a rock type, and that's why I had to put it this high, as its options are possibly the best on this list, and it's just really good and deserving of being in the top 3 here, if only by just a touch over Aerodactyl. Hey, didn't we just talk about this one? Well, I guess it makes sense that we'd be at it again, talking about Nilgo. This Ultra Beast is an even better rock type than it is a poison type, and that's really impressive. The thing it has going for it is those incredibly balanced stats, with 109 base HP, 127 base special attack, 131 base special defense, and 103 base speed. There's so much going on with this thing, and it most certainly is fitting of being the penultimate Pokemon on this list. Now, that being said, its ability is the same as all other Ultra Beasts, which of course is Beast Boost, which of course is a great ability. Though, the thing that isn't great about it is that you would think by looking at Nilgo, it would have Levitate, but unfortunately, that isn't the case, and thus, it's going to get absolutely rocked by an Earthquake. However, there is of course the air balloon that you can slap on this Pokemon to prevent it from needing to take an Earthquake, and instead, try and focus on preparing it for battle with special Pokemon. I'd say the best thing to do with a Pokemon like Nilgo is to throw Black Sludge on it and create a massive specially defensive wall that can hit really hard. You've got some good moves that can be learned by level up, like Power Gem and Acid Spray, the latter of which would play well with the fantastic strength Nilgo has. There's great TMs it'll be able to use like Sludge Bomb and Wave, Thunderbolt, Psyshock, Dazzling Gleam, and more, which give it really nice coverage that goes beyond its stab moves. Now, I bring all that up, but it can also be used for support of setup moves. Really, the biggest problem Nilgo has, like I mentioned earlier, is that weakness it needs to worry about with ground-type moves. Earthquake is the most spammed move in most competitive battles, and obviously is very strong. But when you can get past stuff like that, Nilgo serves as a real MVP on a team. You guys definitely have come to realize what number 1 is at this point, so I won't waste any time. The strongest rock-type Pokemon just has to be the beloved Shuckle. That's right, it is Shuckle, and it's with good reason. Shuckle is one of the poster children for physical attacking greatness, with 134 base attack and defenses both over 100. It's got all the bulk and great attack stats, only really suffering from a poor 61 base speed. It's also... oh, hold on a second. Oh, shoot, I misread that. Dang. We're not talking about Shuckle at all. Actually, we're talking about Tyranitar. I can't believe I did that. My bad. But anyway, T-Tar has got some absolutely tremendous moves, like Stone Edge, Crunch, Earthquake, and so many others that is turning into this scary, powerful monster out in battle. It's also got the ability Sandstream, which will create a sandstorm upon switch-in. And that's a pretty fantastic ability for Tyranitar specifically, since it gets a 50% boost to its special defense stat due to its rock typing whenever a sandstorm is up. Tyranitar isn't just a powerful Pokemon at its base though, as it'll get even stronger when it Mega Evolves. As a Mega, its attack balloons up to a staggering 164 base, and its defenses improve to further 150 physical and 120 special. It's going to take hits from everything but fighting types really well, and it'll be dishing out so much damage, most opponents just won't know what to do about it. It's a really good Pokemon whether you choose to Mega Evolve it or not, and in the similar vein as Garchomp, it's been a good Pokemon turn to for its powerful moves for generations, and will be for as long as it remains available. There is no doubt in my mind that T-Tar is the best Rock-type Pokemon. Well, I guess that's going to do it for another top 10. I feel we actually got this one right, and Tyranitar is definitely the most beloved rock type and the best one in general. But man, I tell you guys though, there are a lot of great rock types out there, and it kind of got me excited for when we get to the ground typing. That's not up to me though, as you guys have to let me know down below in the comments which typing you want to see next, so I can do another one of these. I'll be checking. If you enjoyed the video, why not leave a like and subscribe to my channel with notifications on, that way you never miss an upload. If you want to support me further, consider following my Twitch where I stream all sorts of games from Pokemon to Fire Emblem to Zelda and much more. I also have an anime channel called MysticSage where I do anime reviews, rankings, and countdowns. So if you're interested in that kind of content, go ahead and check that out as well. If you want to support me even further and gain cool perks, check out my Patreon. These lovely people have all given me their support over there and I couldn't be more grateful to them. I think I'm gonna wrap this up though. I'm Mystic Umbreon and I will see you in the future for more awesome Pokemon content.